Welcome to KidzDocTalk with Ask Dr. Jennie. Today's guests are the Chen sisters talking to us about their book, Ellie is Vaccinated. Dr. Chen is an internal medicine physician and mother of 2 toddlers. She has treated COVID-19 patients throughout the pandemic, even while pregnant with her youngest son. Dr. Chen's sister, Michelle, has a master's degree in public health and business administration. Michelle specializes in population health management strategy and operations. Together, the Chen sisters were inspired to co-author this book to empower children and provide parents and caregivers with a fun resource to minimize vaccine anxiety. Majority of the proceeds from the book are donated to children's hospitals around the nation. Welcome, ladies.
Welcome to KidzDocTalk with Dr. Jennie. Dr. Jennie is a board-certified pediatrician and is the director of telemedicine at Pediatric Associates.
Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Awesome. So before we get started, talk about the book, I want to know a little bit more about you guys. So tell us a little bit about yourselves and each of your backgrounds.
Okay, great. Well, I'm Dr. Chen. I'm a board-certified internal medicine physician who works as a hospitalist. So I essentially admit patients from the emergency room and I manage their care throughout their hospital stay. I'm also a mom of 2 toddlers, a 1.5-year-old and a 4-year-old boy.
Hi, my name is Michelle, and my background is in public health. So I've worked extensively in the community, being boots on the ground, helping patients of underserved backgrounds really get access to care. So my background's in public health, the master's degree in public health, as well as business administration. I currently work as a healthcare management consultant.
Okay, so that is super interesting, but I have to be honest, when I first looked at the book and sort of breezed through it, I for sure thought a pediatrician had to be involved. And so I was surprised to learn that a pediatrician is not involved. So tell me kind of like what the inspiration behind putting this book together was and what prompted you guys to want to collaborate on it.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely treat adult patients, but being a mom of toddlers, 2 pandemic babies, I felt very inspired to write a book. Ellie is Vaccinated. Looking back to the beginning of the pandemic, I had a 2-year-old son and I was pregnant with my second. It was just crazy times. I think all of our lives were really upended. I was working in the hospital treating COVID patients with very limited resources at that time. We were running out of PPE, we had no idea what we were going into. Like, we had very limited knowledge of the virus. And at one point, my husband and I made the difficult decision to entrust my toddler to the care of my sister and my mom for 4 to 5 weeks. I think he was out of our house for 4 to 5 weeks, just because we were taking extreme caution. We wanted to keep him safe, not expose him to the virus or the rest of our family. And looking back, I was just like, oh my goodness, looking through the lens of my, toddler, how scary that must have been. All of a sudden he was going to daycare, having a normal life. And suddenly the world is so different. He was living away from his mom and dad. It's scary to greet people without a mask. It's scary to touch the door handle, to just open a door outside because of germs of COVID. So we really felt inspired to write this book to make the world, make more sense of this current time, and in a child-friendly, easy to read and illustrative way, where they can kind of get a sense that, this is not just happening to our family. You're not alone in this. This is happening to the whole world, and there's children all over the world that's facing the same pandemic. And I wanted to paint a bright picture where if we work together, my sister and I, we wanted to help kids understand that if we work together, we can get through this.
For me, it was all of a sudden I went from traveling every single week as a consultant to now being locked down, being a part-time caretaker of a 2-year-old toddler, and I'm not a parent. So that was a big transition from being the fun aunt who takes them out for ice cream and goes out to the park to now being the one being like, okay, you need to brush your teeth, you need to go to sleep at a proper time. You can't have that much candy because I'm actually responsible for you now. So as a result of that, I read a ton of children's books. And what we want to do is, through her experience as a physician taking care of COVID patients, and not only the patients themselves, but also the family that were involved and interacting with the families, and a lot of them had children. We wanted to write a book that was relatable, that parents can use as a resource, that kids can read and relate to it, and better understand the world that it is today, because it is always changing, and do it in a way that we have a really relatable character, we have rhymes in it, and we have just colorful imagery so that it makes it fun, it is positive, and really has a clear message around that the world can be a better place. We all have to do our part and just work together.
So I love that. And obviously you guys wrote the book with children in mind, right? From experiences as this primary caretaker parent role. But when I flipped through the book, I loved it, but I generally love children's books. So was the intention for this book to be read by adults? Was it to be read by kids, by adults to kids? Like, what was kind of the plan for it?
Yeah, so the book is really tailored for 3 to 7-year-olds. So a lot of these toddlers aren't able to read yet unless they're geniuses, which is great. But the book is really for 3 to 7-year-olds. It is intended for parents, teachers, pediatricians, adults to read to the children and really have that shared bonding experience of reading a book that has a clear message of it's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel nervous going to get a vaccination, but there are some techniques that the parents, as they're reading through this, they can learn that there are techniques that you can apply for your children as they go into vaccination to make them feel more at ease, to really calm them in getting the shot, which is scary even for adults sometimes.
For sure. One of the things that I expected when I first was looking at the book was like Ellie's at the doctor's office. And that's really not the case, right? The book lays a lot of groundwork for, like, she likes to play, right? And this is what she does in her spare time. And this is what kind of bow she wears. And so what was like the significance? What was the importance of laying all that groundwork out before saying, oh, by the way, it's COVID, and like, now we need a shot?
So we wanted to really paint the picture and again, go back to having a character that's really relatable, that everyone out there, all the children, they're undergoing this shared experience of socially distancing, of masking up, of not being able to go to school, not being able to play with their friends. So we wanted to lay that groundwork that everyone's going through the same thing. A lot of kids got COVID pets, they got dogs, and they were able to adopt dogs or cats and whatnot, but they had to still just maintain that social distance. So we want to lay the groundwork that here's a context of everyone having this shared experience, and through the story that there is a positive outcome. We can all get vaccinated. Obviously, children 5 and below, the vaccine's not out yet, but we wanted to at least lay the groundwork that everyone's in this shared experience, and through vaccination, through trusting the science, through being ready and prepared to get the vaccination, there is a really positive outcome at the end, and we can all get through this pandemic together.
And we had a lot of fun writing, coming up with this character, Ellie. We wanted to make her fun, and it's always fun for kids to learn about what other kids are doing, and can you all be able to relate, or hey, I want to make that chocolate muffin too that Ellie's having. So we just wanted to add that in, and also getting the vaccine, we didn't want that to be the whole focus of Ellie the character. She has this whole life, this whole background to her that makes her so interesting, and I think leading up to that, having the kids really get into the story, and then not make it a big focus about getting the vaccine, because really there's, the whole point of the vaccine is to get back to normal life, hopefully at some point.
So I think that's important, right? Because it's not really a book about a vaccine or about getting a vaccine, right? It's a book about all the different things that we can do as families, right? And the kids can learn to do together to sort of help mitigate risk and do our best to help decrease the spread of this and sort of, get back to normal as much as possible. So I think that's really important, is that it's not just like Ellie shows up to the doctor and here's a shot. As I was looking at it, I thought about all the different procedures that sometimes kids have to have, right? Obviously, kids with chronic medical problems, unfortunately, more used to this than kids who don't have those issues, but getting medical procedures often, whether it's shots or something else that's scary. Do you guys see this book as being able to facilitate those conversations as well, of preparing kids to go through really any kind of scary experience?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I've actually used it myself on my son because he's very scared of needles. Growing up, he would scream and try to wiggle out. It was just like a traumatic experience watching him, as a toddler, not knowing what to expect. So this book definitely helped me with the recent, annual flu shot. It also helped me prep him for his dental exam as a 2 and 3-year-old, and just going to the doctor, recent ED visit for his brother. So I think there's a lot of applications, for this book, just helping kids realize that, doctors and nurses are here to help you. They're not scary, and they're just trying to protect you, and putting this in an easy to digest way for kids, that, the vaccine is, it's kind of like a little superhero, teaching you how to respond to this virus. And at the same time, it could be applied for procedures and dental exams, so many different ways. I think kids just like to be in the know and to be prepared ahead of time so that they're not walking into something completely, unfamiliar. So I definitely found it really helpful for myself.
Yeah, and definitely a lot of techniques that you mentioned is really universally applicable to any vaccination or any medical procedure. Going to the doctor's office in general can be very scary for a child, for a toddler especially. So the techniques around the parents or the guardians using a stuffed animal to demonstrate, or using books, using videos, using pictures to demonstrate is all very applicable, because the kids, they want to know ahead of time what they're going into. You don't want it to be a surprise. You want them to at least have an idea of generally what is going to happen. So that's why we really intentionally wanted to lay it out there that you go into the office, you roll up your sleeve, you get the shot, and you get a sticker Band-Aid at the end, and then you can go out and celebrate. And that's also something that we want to throw the message out there, that it's okay for kids to cry. We don't want to lie to the children that it's not going to hurt, because that backfires tremendously. So you want to be upfront, you want to be honest that there may be some stings, some pain, but it will go away. And that mommy and daddy, or whoever the caretaker is, will be there to hold your hand, and to, or the pediatrician as well, to hold your hand and get you to the other side.
So it sounds like you guys sort of have a really good grasp on like vaccine hesitancy, right? Which makes sense, because vaccine hesitancy is a big thing in public health. It's a big thing now with adults. It's always been a big thing in pediatrics. So what advice would you guys give to parents who are interested in getting their kids vaccinated, but they're nervous, they're hesitant either about the science piece of it or the actual process of taking them to the doctor and giving them an additional shot that maybe wasn't, on their initial shot roadmap for the year?
Yeah, we totally understand. It's a very personal decision to get your kids this vaccine. And, even as a thought, like my sister said, like a lot of people have had bad experiences with, vaccines. They're scared too. And I think it's important for us to realize that children are, are mirrors, and they can kind of feel that sense of nervousness from us, and try to make them feel more confident in how we carry ourselves, how we face the unknown. It's completely okay if you choose not to vaccinate your kids for COVID at this time. We're not here to tell people how to, treat their children. But if you do come around and want to get your kids the COVID vaccine, we hope that this book will be a resource. Maybe it's something just to flip through and save for the future.
Yeah, I think we definitely understand that there is a group of people who are really against the vaccine, and that's okay. That is their choice. From a public health perspective, that's not the ideal choice, but we do want to respect everyone's decision and their personal freedom of choice. Really, we intended this book to be for parents who have decided to go with science, to fact check the information, fact check the data, and choose vaccination. And that this is a resource for parents, for teachers, for pediatricians to use in preparing their children who may be scared for going to the doctor's office or for the vaccination. The second main group that we also want to target are the parents who may be on the fence, who may be accepting of it and want to get vaccination, but there's something holding them back, whether it's being afraid of taking their children to get this vaccine, knowing that their children are going to throw a tantrum and scream and yell and be scared, not wanting to put their children through that because maybe they themselves had a traumatic experience. So that's that second group of audience that we wanted to target, are these parents that may be on the fence, but hopefully this is a resource for them to get over the hump and apply some useful tactics that have been studied to help their child get the vaccine and really follow through with it.
Fantastic. So an important question, will Ellie be getting a booster? Or in other words, is there a sequel plan for Ellie, right? Maybe pandemic focus, maybe not. What are you guys plans for her?
Yeah, we love Ellie. We've gotten such great feedback. We love Ellie. We've gotten such great feedback from parents, pediatricians, teachers, just individuals who've bought the book, learned about it through social media or websites or gotten referred to it. So gotten really great feedback, positive feedback about the book. I would say absolutely, we're definitely open to a sequel, whether it is COVID related or not. Really, we want to just make sure that it has an impact. The proceeds from this book, majority of the proceeds are going to children's hospitals. So really, we want to just make sure that whatever we're doing, we're having an impact, whether it's helping at least just one child get vaccinated and feel safe and comfortable in getting vaccinated, then great. I think we've met our goal. But in addition to that majority of proceeds are going to children's hospitals. And so we want to continue to do something that has an impact. We're still exploring different avenues and how can we best amplify that impact. But definitely we are open and would love to write another book about Ellie.
Fantastic. I would love to see another book about Ellie. I'm invested in her well-being now. So that would be exciting for me. All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And I look forward to seeing what is next for Ellie.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Make sure you like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you for joining us on KidzDocTalk.